Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different from my normal vlog type things because this is about my 1940s, my 1949 coat pattern. This pattern is going to probably give me a lot of headaches. It's Vogue 1669 and it's fully lined. I will show you all the materials I am going to be using for this here in a little bit. First, I'm going to go over a little bit of why I'm making this coat and a little bit of history behind this coat and why the styling is kind of unique. So it's a 1949 coat. It's fully lined with a long A-line skirt that ends around mid-calf. It's got two-piece sleeves, and on the center back is a box print. It also comes with two pockets, and it will close down the front with three rather large buttons. I actually have buttons right here. I'll go over that. The front facing I'm doing collar in is a leftover black velvet. It's a polyester velvet, but it's kind of leftover. And then I'll be decorating it with some green rayon trim. Well, green velvet trim. I'm not sure. I think it's just polyester. But oh, I forgot to bring in the pattern. Give me 1 minute. I knew I was forgetting something. But this is the pattern. This is what the coat is supposed to end up looking like. I have seen several other people who have done this pattern, and some of them stick straight to the instructions. Some of them end up doing pad stitching in the collar, which I'm hoping to be able to do. But what was I saying? Oh, this pattern came out right after rationing had ended involving clothing in Great Britain. Clothing rationing in the United States wasn't really a huge thing, the clothing got more expensive. They rationed nylons, well, they stopped making nylons and then confiscated a whole bunch of others. But nylons became a very precious commodity, and so did dresses, shirts, clothing in general. This was also the time where home sewing was starting to become a thing, as you can see by a coat pattern. This was released in 1949, and part of the history involving this was clothing rationing in the 1940s during World War II. Back then, they had very strict rules about fabric usage, and how it would be made and laid out. So this does follow that guideline around how much fabric. This uses about 4.5 for the larger sizes, 4.5 yards. The larger sizes for both lining and for the exterior fabric. However, it doesn't say covered buttons. It just says 3 1/8 and 1 1/8 of an inch buttons. So I am being a little deviant and not following that. I'm using metal buttons. But the whole thing about this is that this pattern is coming out of the rationing time. So it follows a lot of their guidelines. However, they're starting to deviate more into the 1950s style of coats, where it used a lot of material in the back, i.e. the box pleat, which they would not have been able to do at the beginning of 1940s because of a lot of the harder rationing. I wrote down some of the rules. They could not have a bi-swing coat, meaning it having more than one pleat in the back. It could not have more than 2 pockets, and it had a little It had a little limited sleeve circumference, which meant in the 1930s they were starting to develop a liking of, well, modified version of the button sleeve from the Victorian era and several eras before that. But this style of coat, this coat pattern is really a mashup of the two eras, the 1940s, very structured, rigid idea of what you could have because we were in a war, and the other side of that was the beginning of the new look, but not quite. It has elements. It's got a very fitted bodice, but it's got the A-line skirt, and it's got a pleat in the back to help with any volume you have in the skirt, as well as give the bottom some movement. It does follow the rule of how many buttons. It only has 3, and it doesn't have very large sleeves, but they are cut in 2, and they have a little bit of puff at the shoulder because it has shoulder pads, which I will be putting in because I think they look delicious. But this pattern is kind of interesting because while rationing had ended, they were still holding on to a lot of those values, but they wanted something new. So it was a change in the styling of what they could have, but what was socially acceptable to have. Which really got me interested because originally I thought this pattern was going to be straight 1940s steer. This is what you've got, this is what you make do with, don't come outside the lines. So the next part I need to talk about is the video lineup for this project. I will be breaking it down quite a bit because I'm expecting this project to take a while. I'm planning to pad stitch the collar so it'll open nicely. This is going to be my winter coat, but I want a nicely pad stitch collar. I want to do this right. So I will be breaking this video down. So the first video that'll come out is me cutting out the materials and then assembling the exterior. The second video will probably be me putting on the trimmings as well as doing all the pad stitching in the facing and the collar. After that, the next video will be about doing the bound buttonholes and how I do them and how they end up looking, which, if you watched my last video, is how I did the vest buttons and buttonholes, this vest, because that allowed me to practice on a different material that was less expensive. I will probably do a couple bound buttonholes in the exterior fabric while I have it laying down flat, so that it will come out relatively nicely, and so I can practice on some scraps of the fabric and not waste as much or freak out if I mess up. The video after that will be a lining assembly, like putting all the lining pieces together and making sure it relatively lines up. The last video will be fully assembling the coat, both like exterior and interior, as well as revealing the whole thing in all its glory. That video will probably come out at the beginning of April, if not the last week in March. I'm not quite sure. This will probably take up all of my March doing. It's kind of my really big project of the year. This is something I've been wanting to do for a couple years, but it is terrifying. And if you're wondering why I keep motioning over here, it's because I have all my materials stacked up, so I can show you that next. So yes, Feel free to follow along as I do this. I will try to make sure I explain everything as I do it. It'll probably be a little more of a vlog style than I usually do, with insertions of me, you know, cutting out materials, assembling it, trying to show how I do that. So yes. Now I will show you all the materials that I'm using. So the exterior fabric is going to be this wool polyester rayon blend. Ooh, looks nice on camera. It is black. If you know me at all, that's probably not a surprise. I am a little bit of a goth at heart, and I enjoy having dark fabrics. This was the only fabric that I really kind of liked, and it has just been growing on me since. The buttons I am using are these. They are a retro of like the 1902 Art Nouveau style. They are 1/8 of an inch. I've got 4 of them. I'm kind of excited. Now, this is where I really started to deviate. I got this green velvet for all the trimmings. I will be putting this around the pocket flaps and around the entire coat, including up, and around the underneath of the collar, just to add it a little bit of pop and slitheriness. Here is where I really deviated. This is my lining material. I was doing a lot of research on how to make coats warmer, and one of the suggestions they had was Thinsulate, but I didn't want to do that to my coat. I wanted, you know, to have some historical accuracy. So the other suggestion they had was quilted material. This is quilted velour material. It does have batting in it. The backing is stretch. The whole thing is kind of stretched, but when you stretch it too much, it warps a little bit. So I try not to stretch it. I will be doing this in a size up from what I usually do, so I will be doing this as in a size 18 to make sure that it has room for the quilting. I'm not worried about buttons because that part has a wool facing. The velvet is black velvet is on the upper part, not where the buttons are. From the buttons area down is a wool facing, so that when it turns out, it'll be done. I don't have to worry about fussing it. I also have the shoulder pads, as well as I picked up some black twill tape to go over the edges of the canvas, as well as to do a line of do a safety line around the collar and front facing, so that the line wouldn't warp too bad. A lot of this I picked up from watching Bernadette Banner's videos. If you watch this, you probably have watched her and thoroughly enjoy her and all her enthusiastic. Hi, baby girl. This is my kitty. She is a black kitty. It surprised no one when she picked me up. And she is covered in cobwebs. What have you been doing, kitty? You have been investigating somewhere I forgot to dust. So the only issue I have at the moment is I'm waiting for my canvas interfacing to arrive and figuring out what I want to do with the pockets. Because the inside of the pockets I have to do in a different material besides the lining, because I'm doing a quilted lining. And that would make really bulky pockets, and I don't want that. So one of the ideas I had was using some of the leftover materials I had from making this vest and just doing a polyester lining. It would work. It wouldn't be very fun, but it would work. The other idea I've had is using this. My sister knows I like Harry Potter. She knows I like materials, so for Christmas she went out and found all the Harry Potter quilting material she could that was already pre-cut. This is Black and Silver Deathly Hallows quilting cotton. There's the art of it. That's more than enough to do pockets. I am so tempted to do this. I just think it would be a little bit funny because the rest of this coat is black, silver, and green. I am a Slytherin. I'm thoroughly enjoying this idea. So, it is an idea. I might do it, I might not. It just depends on when I get to that step if I want to go with the traditional polyester pocket or if I want to do a little bit of naughty randomness. I probably will end up doing this. It makes me happy. So yes, that is all the materials. That is the lineup of the videos to kind of expect. I would read through the pattern with you, but it is kind of convoluted and I don't really understand it fully myself yet. Vogue considers this an advanced pattern, so I will probably be tearing my hair out a couple times while working on this, because even their easy patterns I tend to want to tear my hair out with. Yes. Yes, Kitty, I love you too. I will come back to bed in a little bit. She wants her morning cups. So, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I will be doing this project as slowly and methodically as I can. If I start wanting to rush, I will probably put it down instead and walk away and work on something else. I do have another project that I probably will work on in between working on the other ones. I picked up some green rayon material at Joann's last time I was there, as well as a pattern I'd done several years ago that I forgot to seam finish, and it's split along all the seams in the front because I was using a polyester plaid material that was like in a brown and gold, and it split on me. Like, it split everywhere. So I'm retrying it with a quilting fuller. Not quilting fuller, rayon fabric. But I will be doing my best to stick with this project and do it slowly. I'm giving myself 5 weeks to do it so that I am not rushing and I'm not, yeah, I'm not, just not. So yes, this week I will probably just focus on cutting it out as well as I can, and making sure my scissors are sharp-ish. If you can't tell, I'm rather nervous. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will try to answer them as honestly as I can. I hope you all enjoyed this style of video. If you do like it, feel free to comment down below. If you don't like it, feel free to comment that down below. I am open to honest criticism. If you don't have anything nice to say though, please keep it to yourself. I hope to see you all again, and yes. Ooh, no lipstick on my teeth. Hee. Sorry, I don't do my makeup all that often. Hell, I don't do my hair that often. I usually just throw it back. Oh, sorry for my language. But yes. I hope you all have a good day. You are welcome here. Feel free to comment, subscribe, and watch me pull my hair out whenever I get really frustrated. And I just kind of muddle through here. I hope you enjoy. I will see you all next time.